I literally just sat down. I got snacks and shit. I got snacks and red Solo cups and everything. It's getting ridiculous over here. But hey, shout out to everybody. I appreciate y'all for tuning in. We got a few stories we're gonna talk about. Y'all know if I got on a suit, what that means. It means that your boy came home late, and because I came home late, I'm not changing. So y'all gotta get DFD in the suit. That's just kind of how it goes. I'm Marcus here. We do attorney reactions to current events. I appreciate everybody for tuning in. We got a few stories we are going to cover today. One, I think we got to cover this story as, hey, I'm a DC guy. We got to talk about the federal DC takeover is what they're calling it. I don't necessarily know if it's a takeover, but we got to talk about it. We have some legal concepts that we're going to discuss related to it, but we're just going to cover it, talk about what the consensus is amongst DC residents, but there's two types of DC residents, maybe three. We'll talk about good, bad, the legalities of it. We're going to talk about the Home Rule Act, federal versus local jurisdiction. We're going to talk about the Posse Comitatus Act, which is a restriction on using federal troops for law enforcement, and a few other topics. Then we're going to pivot to a positive story. I know we don't get positive stories that often, but there's a positive story about a woman who is doing a TikTok search trying to find the guy who saved her from human trafficking. A story occurred in DC. I think she's in New Orleans now. Interesting story. We're going to talk about on that briefly, federal trafficking laws and statute of limitations. Then we're going to pivot to another story that's a great story. Rest in peace to Sonya Massey. But we're going to talk about the recently passed Sonya Massey Act that J.B. Pritzker signed into law today. If you aren't familiar with that story, you should be. But of course, it was a cop shooting a woman who did not need to be shot. I think the trial is scheduled for October. And if I'm not mistaken, I believe last week or the week before, he is attempting to assert a claim of self-defense, which is probably going to fail. I think this is going to be one where the justice system actually works the correct way. I don't think he's going to escape. We're going to cover that. And then finally, we're going to talk about an ATM deposit that turned into a deadly confrontation. We actually got video footage. It's going to be interesting. There's a lot to cover in that story. We're going to talk about, again, self-defense claim, provocation and escalation, and evidentiary concerns. So let's go ahead, without further ado, let's go ahead, jump into our first story. We're going to pivot and talk about, hey, the federal takeover of DC. Let's hear the story first, then I'm going to give my take on it. Y'all let me know what y'all think in the comments. Good, bad, or you don't really give a damn.
7 News' Carl Willis is live near the Capitol tonight. And Carl, you spent 7 News' Carl Willis is live near the Capitol tonight. And Carl, you spent the day in Ward 8, where neighbors say they haven't seen a change in enforcement there just yet.
Yeah, not yet, Scott, even as National Guard vehicles lined up over by the Washington Monument, as you just showed us. But some of those who I spoke with in Southeast DC wonder if their neighborhood will get the same level of attention and if that's really what they need. On this corner off of Minnesota Avenue in Southeast DC, those who live here and community leaders are talking about the Trump takeover.
I haven't seen the National Guard deployed. You don't know exactly where they are, what communities they're going into.
After speaking to Eugene Branch, National Guard vehicles were spotted near the Washington Monument. But Branch said it's his Ward 8 neighborhood that needs help fighting crime.
We haven't.
Real talk, I'm just going to tell y'all just what I'm seeing in the community. The only people who appear to be complaining about this are like people who stay in very affluent neighborhoods, or people who just oppose anything that President Trump does. I actually saw a survey that was done with a poll DC residents, and it was as high as 76% actually agree with it. I mean, I'm just checking the pulse of people I talk to at my job, people I talk to in passing who stay in DC, who are of the same hue as me. And across the board, literally a lady at my job today was like, yo, if they ask me about it, I'm giving 2 thumbs up. I've seen Border Patrol, I've seen National Guards, I've seen increased MPD presence in my neighborhood. And my neighborhood has been going through increased law enforcement coverage just because, hey, me as the de facto community leader by default, we just kind of been raising hell about some things. And I got to give MPD credit. They pick things up in the neighborhood. But it's been quiet over the past 8 weeks since, we collectively as a community started bitching and complaining and emailing the executive office of the mayor and attending all of these community things. But today is different. Today, you could hear fucking pin drop outside. Like, I don't know. Once I saw ICE came through and swept a couple folks up, which is a whole different story. I think I told y'all, like, I don't know, 4 or 5 months ago, it's like somebody just dropped off some migrants in the neighborhood. I don't see them no more. They gone. There's no more crowds outside. It's like night and day. So the consensus that I'm getting from people in my community, they are all for it. They are for increased police presence. Some of them did have some concerns about how long is it going to last, and is it really going to impact things in the long run? How long is it going to last? I think it's definitely going to be longer than the 30 days. I know for a fact the U.S. Attorney's Office is actually looking for attorneys to help prosecute people who are arrested under this. So, I mean, I don't know. It's going to go for a while. Let's finish watching this video. We're going to dive into a few legal concepts. But as far as I'm concerned, at this point in time, I have no issue with it. Y'all already know I think D.C. generally, historically, is soft on crime. I think they're soft when minors are committing violent crime, violent offenses. They talk about the prosecutorial rate and how the rate that they prosecute juvenile offenders, but it's not about the rate that they're prosecuting them. It's the type of sanction that they're getting, the type of punishment that they're getting for committing violent crimes. That's the issue.
Seen any of that over here in Southeast DC?
There's a part of this city that, as I say before, may have a cold, but this area has pneumonia. We need to make sure that there's justice for the whole city, that there's equal attention in terms of love and justice.
Black folks don't generally have a problem with this. Everybody I've seen on TV, people who definitely, generally, not everybody, most people I've seen who complaining about this, saying we don't need this, is white folks who stay in affluent neighborhoods in DC. East of the river, Ward 7, Ward 8, no complaints I've seen from anybody that I've talked to. And just the polls and the data points I've seen, this guy's on TV now, like, hey, don't stay up there at the Capitol. Y'all need to come down here and clean this shit up.
800 National Guard troops ordered to D.C., but on day 2, Ward 8 A&T Andrea Davis says there's been no sign of the deployment here. But she also disagrees with the tactic.
This is not the answer, bringing the National Guard. We need more resources by way of more police officers. We need to get rid of the 2-year college requirement so we can bring forth more qualified candidates like Maryland and Virginia.
If you were to see, like we mentioned, boots on the ground, would that be something that would make you feel safer?
I do want to see my people taken care of. I want to see the people that work hard every day supported. And we want to see people being helped. I don't want to see my people be harmed and used and abused.
It shouldn't be about one part of the city feeling safe. It should feel like the whole city wants to feel safe.
Yeah, so it's a 30-day period. What do you expect to see in your community?
I just want to see change. I want to see our neighborhood clean.
I mean, I don't know. There's multiple theories on this thing. Someone told me today, an attorney told me today, a brother was like, yeah, man, with this, it's going to be more of our people getting arrested. Keep in mind, he's telling me this, and he stay in the county somewhere. So if you aren't in D.C., what you say, I really take with a grain of salt, because, like, you don't know what's going on. Go to your suburbs and just relax and be cool out there. But I mean, I don't know. I don't take this as if they do this, more presence, more of our people are going to get arrested. Like, nah, if people are getting arrested, Like, show me the situations where people are being arrested unjustly or arrested for nothing. I would have an issue with that. But generally, if people are being arrested, what I'm seeing thus far, what I'm reading from every media outlet, whether it's the right or the left, there's some type of crime that has occurred. Now, the level of the crime may be light. I've seen crimes, people who had stolen guns. I've seen someone had an assault on a federal officer for throwing a sandwich at him. Now, the level of crimes and the seriousness is going to fluctuate, but I don't know. I just don't. I'm not a fan of the, oh man, if this happens, more of our people are going to get arrested. And like, well, if you're doing some goofy shit to get arrested, you should probably be arrested. I don't give a damn if you're black, brown, white. Like, I don't know. I just don't like, if a crime happens to you, you're going to want that person arrested. So what is the difference? So I've never fell into that school of thought. I get it. Again, if people are getting arrested for no crime being committed, issue. But I haven't seen that story yet. I've seen people arrested for silly stuff, throwing sandwiches at police officers. That is an assault. It's silly, but it is an assault. It is a crime. But you all let me know what y'all think in the comments. Let's talk about a few legal points real quick since this video is almost done. Let's wrap this up.
I want to see the schools safe for the children.
Now, even if it's not the tactic they would have chosen, the leaders I spoke with today say they just want to see parity across the district. At the Capitol, Carl Willis, 7 News.
That's the big takeaway. People don't want to see all of these resources going to clean up areas that are the affluent areas, that are the tourist areas. If you're going to do this and clean shit up, you need to go to where the heart of the problem is. So I've seen them in neighborhoods that are, hey, there's some neighborhoods where you got to make sure you got that thing on you going out at night. So I think they are going to get around. Real quick, a few legal concepts that we got to talk about here, because people are like, well, how is he actually able to do this? Well, essentially, DC is federal territory. Bottom line, it was designed to be the playground of Congress, where Congress rests their head at night. In 1973, the Home Rule Act passed, and essentially that defined DC's self-government's limits and the federal oversight powers. So it is possible, I've seen this happen actually recently, where the city council can pass a bill. Congress says, whoa, this bill is kind of goofy. We aren't going to roll with this one. But the federal government does have that power. Now, a lot of people are questioning the president's authority over DC, but by statute, he does have it. He's enacting it. That's why you see a lot of people complaining about it, but you don't see opposing political parties raising a fuss, because it's actually within his powers. And I would just be honest. DC been, hey, I love my city, but there's been a lot of shit going on. Somebody should have did this a long time ago. Now, you call it a distraction, you call it overreach, but the people who stay here, the people who are homeowners here, most of them whom I talk to have no issue with it at all. Real quick, I wanted to talk about the Posse Comitatus Act. What is it? This is a little bit of national security law. Essentially, that act provides restrictions on using the U.S. military for domestic law enforcement. So there are limitations to what the National Guard can and can't do. So it's going to be interesting. Like, you won't see, it's very unlikely you'll see the National Guard out there actually effectuating an arrest. Like, okay, grab this dude, throw him in a car, we seen him do something. That's probably not going to happen, because that would probably be a huge violation of the act. But securing sites, establishing a presence, establishing maybe a checkpoint to maybe, I don't know, check for driver's license, registrations, immigration status. Those things will probably fall within the perimeters of not violating that act. Hey, I agree. I have no problem with it whatsoever. Like, real talk, I think, like, shout out to President Trump. This should have been done a lot sooner. Some people's like, oh, I think it's a distraction. Like, bro, like, what difference does it make? A lot of things are a distraction, but does this distraction actually help people? I think it actually does. When we're talking about the length, how long can this go? Law enforcement, sometimes I think they miss the point. And I actually had this conversation with law enforcement because I've been working in the community. Once you do something, if law enforcement makes their presence felt for a certain period of time, the effects are normally the effects and impact of that period of their excessive presence is normally multiplied 4 or 5 times fold. So 1 week of a hard presence in the area will probably give you 2 to 3 months of seeing some observable change. So I'm not sure how long it lasts, but I think it would be an actually great idea if these types of things were done intermittently during the course of the year, maybe once a quarter or something like that. To just do it and never do it again may not have much effect, but there are some ways you can do things intermittently. It's going to be interesting. Right now, the DEA administrator is essentially the de facto boss of the Metropolitan Police Department, and he has that authority to do so because the president, made it happen. DC is federal land. I don't see nobody complaining. The only people I see on TV complaining about it, this is just me. They all are in nice neighborhoods, and a lot of them are white folks who appear to be in nice neighborhoods. I've seen some minorities on TV complaining, but generally the overall reaction that I'm seeing on the news that I'm getting from talking to people is a positive one. So I think that's a fair thing. Shout out to President Trump. We understand the balance of power, public safety versus civil liberties and all of that stuff, but you can have an increased federal presence and not necessarily give up certain public liberties that you're entitled to. It's not like they're saying, okay, everybody has to be in their house at 9 o'clock. So I think there is a way to get it done. And so far, so good. We're going to see how it goes. This next story is actually an interesting story. It has some foundation in DC, but I thought that this was actually a positive story. She'll probably never find this brother. But this is a great story to show that there are actually people out there who actually do give a damn, who actually do want to help. And I think it's just a dope story. So let's go ahead and talk about it.
Well, there are more than 27 million victims of human trafficking, and for most, escaping can be difficult since every aspect of their lives is under control. Good evening, and thanks for joining us. I'm Sharice Gibson.
And I'm Devin Bartolotta. Tonight, a New Orleans woman is going viral for a TikTok about a stranger she says helped her escape from her trafficker nearly 14 years ago.
Whitney Miller shares why she's telling her story now and what she hopes will happen next.
I was walking down the street, and this man, asked me if I was okay.
She says that man listened, really listened, and the very next day bought her a plane ticket home.
He told me he wanted me to go back home, go to school, and do something with my life.
In a viral TikTok, Maisha Grow is now hoping the internet can help her find him.
As soon as I heard that, I was like, what'd she do? Please tell me you did something productive. This is a blessing that just came, and I hope you capitalized on it.
Our whole goal was to share my story, about the humanity of this person, but also to share my story to let people know there's still hope out there.
Back in 2010, she says she was being held against her will in DC. When that man asked if she was okay, it felt different.
I had asked for help multiple times before, but everybody ignored me. Maybe out of fear, maybe out of, just not wanting to get involved, right? And that's okay. But he didn't care. He believed me.
She told him everything, but didn't believe his promise to help until the next morning.
And pulled out that ticket and said, here, no strings attached.
She never asked his name, moving quickly to avoid putting him in danger. She boarded the flight home and hasn't seen him since.
And I changed everything around. I've gotten my bachelor's, my master's, and I went on, just to make a difference in my life and others.
She only remembers a few details about.
That's actually a great story. Like, shout out to good people. This is a very, outstanding story. I told the story once on this channel. It maybe was a couple of winters ago, but me and my son were in a car going somewhere, and it was like the girl couldn't have been no more than 24, 26, and it was cold as hell, and she was just outside with like some shit you would wear in the summer on. And so it was actually interesting because, like, you know how they got like corner stores that sell like clothes and shit? We pulled over and ran into the store and actually bought her like a coat. And like, yo, here you go, a coat. And it was actually so sad because this lady was like so shocked. And it was funny. I remember leaving them. I was telling my son, I was like, yo, this is actually crazy because she was so shocked because she was just used to nobody actually doing anything nice for her or nobody doing something for her without expecting something in return. So, you know, shout out to this guy. This is a great story. I hope it actually comes full circle and this guy is found. That would be actually like a great story. But dude, like, he probably like all those years, he probably remember it. Dude probably never told nobody. He just did a good thing. But shout out to her. And I think she currently has organization where she helps women who are victim of human trafficking.
The man, she says, saved her life. She's hoping it's just enough for someone to recognize him.
Her description was crazy. I was like, this sounds like 97.2% of black men I know in DC. This description was hilarious. But hopefully, you know, the power of social media, they may be able to find the brother.
A darker complexion than myself, so just a little bit darker than me. He told me he was a trainer, that he was a fitness trainer.
Even if he doesn't want to be found, she says she hopes he knows the impact he made.
I needed a reminder of who I was, who Maisha was, who Maisha is. Step up for others. When you see something that's not right, say something.
And 14 years later, she's helping crime survivors in New Orleans. She wrote a book about her journey, and she's carrying forward the kindness she received in one desperate moment. In New Orleans, Whitney Miller, WWL, Louisiana.
Hey, that was an amazing story. I mean, human trafficking is a very, very big crime. It happens all the time, and I don't know. It is a great story. Unfortunately, a lot of young women. I don't know how old she was at the time, but a lot of young women fall victim to it because they run away from home situation or they're forced into it. It's plenty of reasons, but this was a dope story, something that I thought was actually interesting. Real quick, I want to just read a few comments. One thing for sure is Trump can and will fight crime without worrying about politics. Mayor's going to have to balance the politics. She really actually being quiet, and I think she should. Like, I already knew, and I talked about this the last video, when they said crime in D.C. is down. I was like, don't nobody believe that shit. They call a robbery a theft. They call an attempted murder an assault. And there was actually one commander of one district in D.C. who was actually under investigation for fudging the numbers. Now, I'm not saying this is across the board, but we know how it happens. We know how it goes down. This is definitely a great story. Hey, every now and then you got to sprinkle some good news in because there's a lot of jacked up shit we talk about on this channel. People in America are struggling. So many people are struggling, but this is a wonderful story. 100. I agree. Hey, you pay it forward. Somebody bless you is you innately want to bless somebody else. So I thought that was a great story. Next story up is an actual great story as well. I don't know why this wasn't the law before. This should be the law across the board. Again, in the previous video about Trump's takeover, we saw that DC has a requirement where they want law enforcement officers to have 2 years of college, unlike neighboring states. I can understand the logic of that, but I can understand the exclusion of that. Logically, I think they're trying to look for someone who would be considered more of a intellectual, someone who has more reason and rationale and logic skills. But it is, in fact, going to shrink the pool of potential candidates. And a lot of times, if like, not all the times, but if someone has 2 years of college, they're probably going to want to finish. They're probably going to not want to go to college and become a police officer. When I was in college, I didn't know many people who after 2 years was like, I got an associate's, I want to go become a police officer. So I understand both sides of it, but let's check out this story. It's about a new law that was passed in Illinois. This should be the law across the board. Let's dive in.
The Sonya Massey bill is now law. Governor J.B. Pritzker signed the new bill this afternoon, which requires law enforcement agencies statewide to conduct a thorough background check before an officer is hired.
Sabrina.
Why does that have to actually be signed into law when it's just common fucking sense? Let's pass a law requiring law enforcement to conduct a thorough background investigation before they hire them up. Come on now. Really? But the rationale in it is because a lot of times with law enforcement is just keep it a buck. It's a lot of nepotism, is a lot of the good old boy network. A lot of time you see family members and generation after generation after generation become law enforcement. Even if someone is a chucklehead, they may have someone they know in a position to be able to help them. It's officers who would whip somebody's ass. There are officers out there who whip somebody's ass, lose their job, go across the street to a neighboring county and get hired as law enforcement, even though they just did something in the neighboring county that could potentially have some criminal culpability. So I don't know. I think this is great that it's actually signed into law. Law enforcement, legally, they have some. You can't sue government officials all the time. They have some immunities, but something that should be allowed to have a lawsuit should be some form of negligent hiring. If I'm a law enforcement entity and I negligently hire someone who has fucking 3 assaults in their background or some shit like that, and this person whips a pedestrian's ass, yeah, I probably shouldn't hire this guy. So that's actually crazy that that's actually crazy that this had to be signed into law. But from tragedy, good things happen. I actually can't wait till this trial occurs. I think it's going to occur in October. I might cover it, but I think that this cop is going to be. I think justice is going to work out in the favor, and her family will probably get some satisfaction if I'm looking at it on this face. I just think that's the way the tide is going, considering this bill was passed into law based on this young lady's death that didn't need to occur.
Bronza is live for us in the control room now. Sabrina, this is huge for the Massey family especially.
It is. The officer who shot and killed Sonya Massey in her home just outside Springfield last year had a long history of misconduct, and he was hired anyway. Now, after this legislation passed, everyone is saying, who is celebrating this legislation, that had this been passed beforehand, the response to her 911 call could have been much different.
Today, I'm thinking of Sonya Massey.
With a stroke of a pen and next to Sonya Massey's mother and son, Governor J.B. Pritzker signed the Sonya Massey bill, legislation that requires police departments or other law enforcement to conduct full background checks on a potential candidate before offering a badge and gun.
And what will happen a lot of times, because this actually happens in the prosecutorial realm as well. Let's say I'm a federal prosecutor. I need a top secret security clearance. I submit all of my stuff, all of this information. They ask me who I lived next to when I was 6 and all of this stuff. They do a preliminary investigation. Once I pass that preliminary investigation, I'm actually able to onboard for a period of 18 to 24 months while they're doing the full investigation. And they expect me to operate in a manner that's ethical, in a manner that doesn't violate any moral, ethical laws or anything of that nature. A lot of law enforcement entities have that as well. Some do require full background checks. Some only require partial. Some require full background checks, but they'll do a preliminary background check. And if a person passes that preliminary, they'll hire them on a temporary basis while the full background check is going through. And then what happens in that time, they do some dumb shit and we end up here. So this is something that should have been law from the get-go. Now that I'm older, looking backwards at young people, I find some of these young people who have all this power Terrifying. Yeah, I agree. I don't disagree with that. Let's go ahead and finish checking this out, and then we're going to talk real quick about the legislation, the potential ripple effect of this, and the state legislative authority.
To better equip law enforcement to keep our communities safe and to continue working to build a justice system that protects all of our citizens.
The new law prohibits law enforcement agencies to make a final job offer unless they've reviewed all of a client's prior employment records, which includes duty-related physical and psychological fitness for duty examination.
See, exactly what I said. You got to do the complete background check, not just a portion and onboard the person. I think this is a great fucking law to have.
Work performance records, any criminal records, and records of other investigations connected to their conduct.
Officers with history.
I would actually, let's finish listening to this real quick.
Of serious disciplinary issues should not be serving in those capacities in our communities. And those histories should not come to light only after disaster happens.
Sonya Massey was 36 when she called 911 to her Sangamon County home asking for help.
I heard somebody outside.
Sangamon County Deputy Sean Grayson responded to that call, a sworn officer with a well-documented troubled past during his service to multiple other police departments prior to his job at the time.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Grayson shot and killed Malcolm.
This shit is ridiculous. Every time I see this, they gonna light this fucking cop up. Like I'd be shocked if this guy skate how other cops skate. I just don't see this happening. I think this is gonna be one I think that's gonna work out in favor.
See, as she was checking on a pot of boiling water in her kitchen. Her family has said they hope this new law will become a model for other states.
Thank you for some support, and God bless you.
Now, this bill passed unanimously in the state Senate and overwhelmingly in the House with bipartisan support. Grayson, the officer in this case, has been charged with first-degree murder. Live in the control room, Sabrina Franza, CBS News, Chicago.
Okay, real quick, the fact that he was charged with first-degree murder, the fact that this legislation passed prior to the trial actually occurring, which is set to occur in October, all the tea leaves are lining up that the justice system is probably going to get this one right. I did see, I think a week ago or 2 weeks ago, he is asserting self-defense, which is, you got to have some argument. What other argument is he going to have? You got to have some argument. He's going to be screwed. I literally just came from a training on use of force, and that instance violated everything that any law enforcement officer is ever taught about use of force. So it's going to be interesting. Related article, deputy who killed Sonya Massey was removed from the Army, had DUIs and needed high-stress decision classes, records show. I was actually going to say I wanted to get through, and I agree. Shout out to you, Chloe. I appreciate you as well for tuning in. I would actually even go along the lines of, because most times when they look at a criminal background check, they look at convictions. I actually think they should look at if a person didn't have convictions. I actually think they need to look to see what a person was charged with, because all charges aren't created equal. For instance, if I see that an officer had 2 charges of domestic violence, but both of them were dismissed. He was like, oh, well, they dismissed. He didn't do anything. Let's say the first one was dismissed because the government offered him a deferred prosecution. What's a deferred prosecution? Essentially, it's your first time here. You don't got a record. We're going to give you a chance to keep your record clean. The victim is agreeing to this deferred prosecution. Do some anger management courses. You got probation for a year. You stay out of trouble. If you do that, we'll dismiss the charges. That was charge 1. That was how it was dismissed, by deferred prosecution. Let's say charge 2 was dismissed, and the only reason it was dismissed because the victim, his girlfriend, who was the same woman in the first matter, didn't show up. Even though both of those matters were dismissed, those instances do have a bearing on a person's, essentially their posture for potential violence, how they act, their decision-making skills. Do they have good judgment? So I actually would go as far to say that you should actually not look at just what a person was convicted of, but look at their history of charges and examine how those were resolved. All resolutions or dismissals are not created equal. But that's another story that I actually think is a very good story. This should be the law across the land. Again, this legislation was named after Sonya Massey. It's focused on increasing police accountability and reforming use of force policies within law enforcement organizations. Now, this may have a potential nationwide effect because there are organizations out there that are pushing for this to be the national norm. I think that's an actual great thing to do. I think it should be the national norm. We aren't hiring law enforcement officers who completed only a partial background check. We need a full, thorough background check. Red flags should be identified, and really, there should be one collective system that all law enforcement can look in. So, as an officer, I shouldn't be able to do some goofy shit in County A, get fired, go to County F, and in County F, I get a job in law enforcement. It should be one collective database that they can go in, law enforcement could go in, state, local, federal law enforcement could go in and identify these things. It'll be a great way to catch red flags, in my opinion. Yet the system failed them both. He should have never have been on that position. So many lives ruined, including his foolish life. Child lost his mama, just outrageous. I agree. I agree with you 100% on that one, Chloe. Now, let's go ahead and we're going to jump into our cover story. This is actually going to be interesting. Yeah, cops, teachers. Yeah, I agree. That's like, remember back in the day when school shootings, they still seem like they happen too damn often, but school shootings were seeming like they would happen all the damn time. And it was politicians talking about potential legislation where they would give certain teachers firearms. And I was like, that sounded like a good idea in theory, but I don't know. Do you want to overwork underpaid teacher who probably don't feel appreciated having a firearm in a classroom full of children? Like, you have to do your due diligence to see if you can find any chink in the armor or any reason why a person should not be hired. A lot of times, law enforcement, they also do polygraph examinations as well. I think that should be the norm across the board, and it is for most law enforcement. I know especially federal law enforcement. But this next story, let's dive in. This is our cover story. It's interesting. I don't even know how to lay the foundation for this story, because I guess it's a use of force story. Exactly, scary as hell. It's a use of force story, but it's also a story of when you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. So real quick, before we even dive into this story, it's an ATM transaction that goes horribly wrong. It leads to someone losing their lives. There were 5 people involved, 4 of them had guns, and it looked like it was all because of mistake. If you're a self-defender, okay, and you make a mistake, you do not get the benefit of that mistake. So I've actually seen a self-defender use of force video on this. It was a backyard. People were having a festival, and I think it was all family and friends. An argument ensues. Person A pulls out a firearm. Person B, the self-defender, pulls out his firearm because he's in fear of his life, and person B shoots person A. Person C walks up, sees that person B shot person A. Person C shoot person B. Person C is screwed because person B was the individual acting in self-defense. Person A was the one who started the initial aggressor. Person B was the self-defender who was legally justified to defend his life. He took out person A. Person C walks out, doesn't know what happened. He just see person B shot person A, and person C shoot person B, and now person C is in custody. So the moral of that ABC fact pattern is, if you're a self-defender, if you have a use of force situation, you do not get the benefit of the doubt if you made a mistake. So if you don't know what's going on, if you don't know who did what, if you aren't for certain of the facts and circumstances, Every situation isn't a situation where a firearm needs to be pulled out. Every situation isn't a situation where you actually need to approach somebody if it's a mistake and you don't know for sure. You can't do it based off an assumption. So let's go ahead, check out this story. A father shot and killed at an ATM. Is actually so many things wrong with this story, but let's watch it first and then we'll break it down.
Caught on camera tonight, it is brand new video of the moments leading up to a deadly shooting in Renton. There are a lot of people involved, and police even call it a complex investigation.
So to make things easier, we put a circle around the victim, and here's a closer look at what happened in that video. The video begins with two men walking up.
Okay, real quick, we're going to watch the video and go through this whole thing. I may take one pause because YouTube kind of funny. And then we'll go back and break it down and talk about these things piece by piece. I want to try to get through this. It's only 1 minute and 37 seconds.
The video begins with two men walking up to the Chase ATM off Logan Avenue South. It's still dark outside, just after 3 a.m. Saturday morning. The two start to deposit money when a man wearing a dark blue shirt walks up to them. According to Renton police, he believes the pair had stolen his car keys. He grabs the man on the right, demanding that he hand over the keys. The two start to struggle, and that's when you see a fourth man walk towards them. He's the man in the blue T-shirt's father, and he winds up being the victim in this case. Suddenly, the man on the left grabs his son's T-shirt, and the two of them start to struggle. His dad and the other man get into it, and then they walk off screen. Both pairs of men are now struggling and fighting in front of the ATM. You can't see her face, but at this point, a woman wearing a gray sweatshirt comes into frame. She's the victim's daughter and the man in the blue T-shirt's sister. A shot is fired and everyone scrambles. The woman in gray pulls out a gun and also fires a shot. In the chaos, the 54-year-old father was killed, but it's not clear which one of the shots is responsible for his death.
This is absolutely insane. This is bad decision making 101 if I've seen it. If you're out here, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if the people in this were like trained concealed carriers or if they just dudes who out here wild west just holding guns. It is what it is. Whatever it is, generally people who are armed, if you're a concealed self-defender, you actually done things the right way. I just told somebody this today. The number 1 and 2 skill that you have to have is conflict avoidance and the ability to use verbal judo. Talk your way out of a situation. If you don't have, conflict avoidance and verbal judo, let me talk my way and de-escalate this situation, you are actually equally as dangerous, if not worse, than some random goon out here who has a firearm. So let's go ahead, break this down piece by piece. We're going to watch it one more time, take some pauses, break it down. But there was so many things done wrong here. I've taken concealed weapons classes, can't bring myself to license and carry. The incredible responsibility, no way without insurance. If you shoot someone, you're going to be tried. My biggest concern would be not criminal exposure, but civil liability. Like my biggest concern, if you're in a situation where you actually have to defend your life, the criminal aspect is less of a concern to me. I think I have enough knowledge, enough overall training and discipline to know when are the appropriate times to use of force. So I feel like in the criminal aspect, I feel relatively good about. The civil liability, you shoot somebody, a bullet bounce off the ground, hit a third party. Now you screwed. Or you shoot somebody, the guy doesn't die, and he just sues you. And even though he may lose, just fighting a lawsuit is going to cost money. So I definitely agree that you should have some concealed carry insurance, and it is not cheap. Now let's go ahead and watch this video. We're going to put this video up. We're going to do it this way so we can see the whole thing. We're going to run it back and take some pauses and talk about, the multitude of things that went wrong here. Some of the key concepts for self-defense claims was the person reasonably in fear or imminent serious harm, fear of their life or serious bodily harm, defense of property, defense of life, legal limits of using deadly force over property, provocation and escalation, how initiating a confrontation impacts self-defense rights. So again, we don't know who took the fatal shot, but let's just break this down.
Caught on camera tonight, it is brand new video of the moments leading up to a deadly shooting in Renton. There are a lot of people involved, and police even call it a complex investigation.
So to make things easier, we put a circle around the victim, and here's a closer look at what happened in that video. The video begins with two men walking up to...
All right. First and foremost, these two guys are doing absolutely nothing wrong. They're minding their business. They're at the ATM. It looks like they're making a withdrawal or deposit, whatever it is. I think it was a deposit. Nothing wrong. Now here, how do I use the ATM? I mean, I'm just going to be like, it's generally when I use an ATM, I have my head on the swivel. Generally, if I'm going to the ATM with someone else and they're using the ATM, I'm kind of looking out to just kind of see what's going on. So again, nothing wrong. They don't have any obligation to be like me, a combat veteran who has PTSD, always looking around. Nothing wrong, but I'm just talking about generally, I'm just talking about observations, just based on, hey, being a defense attorney, being an investigative attorney, being a prosecutor, being someone who has military training, being someone who has a lot of training and use of force as a civilian.
The Chase ATM off Logan Avenue South. It's still dark outside just after 3 a.m. Saturday morning. The two start to deposit money when a man wearing a dark blue shirt.
All right, this guy with the dark blue shirt is completely out of pocket. I don't know about you, but generally, nobody is walking up on my blind side of the ATM. I've actually been at an ATM or even been in a convenience store, and someone will get behind me in line. And if they get too close, actually, like, or if I feel them getting too close, when I turn and look at them, it actually gives them a signal like, oh, let me back up. Like, most people will do that. So the fact that this guy approached is kind of wild. But let's take a look at everybody's posture. I don't think he approached in a threatening manner because they're turning around, they're having a conversation. So far, I don't see anything here that is an actual threat of itself. Nobody is giving any physiological indicators that some shit is about to go down. He's having a conversation. The other gentleman doesn't appear threatened. His hand is in his pocket. Everybody seems relaxed and at ease at this point. Three in the morning, yeah. It was one of those cameras that initiate. Come on, bro. Get out of here with the crazy stuff. Should have known it was going to come from the opposite side. I'm going to make sure you get banned. All right. But so, yeah. So far, so good. Let's see where things go left. But I do agree that this guy probably should not have approached them to have that conversation. If I was approaching them having a conversation, I would probably be, you see where that line in the concrete is? Right here. See where the word deadly shooting is? Right over the H. That's about where you generally, if you're cognizant of what's going on, would probably stop to initiate a conversation. He got a little too close for me, but nobody appears to have a posture that's showing anything threatening.
Walks up to them. According to Renton police, he...
All right, see? Right here. Now, when you play stupid games, you win stupid prizes. You can't initiate something, and then when people don't react how you expect them to react, you want to cry foul. It just doesn't work that way. He thought that this gentleman had his car keys or took his car keys, and after going from calm talking, he literally grabs this dude. This is actually an assault or battery in most states, unlawful contact of another in a harmful or offensive manner. This is actually an assault. Does it justify deadly use of force? No, it does not. He can use equal force. So had he punched that guy in his snout box, that would have probably been completely legit.
Police, he believes the pair had stolen his car keys.
Now, he thinks this guy stolen his car keys. The guy, again, I agreed. I'm always concerned at the ATM. While they weren't doing anything wrong, 3 a.m., the whole key thing might have been a distraction. I agree. You can't violate two rules of stupid. You can violate one rule of stupid and you'll probably be okay. but you can't go stupid places at stupid times, doing stupid things with stupid people. If you violate one, that's fine. If you violate two or more, it's probably going to end up in a problem. Now, this man grabs him. He clearly assaulted him. It doesn't justify deadly force, but he thinks that he has his keys. Now, I'm just being objective. I'm looking at this from both point of views. If I'm the gentleman at the ATM machine who got assaulted, this guy appears to be trying to go into his pockets. If I have a gun on me, I don't know if you're trying to go into my pockets or if you're trying to go into my waistband and take my firearm. His school of thought can be anywhere on that spectrum. Honestly, to me, it looks like he pulled back trying to protect his firearm. Because if you got a firearm on you, if somebody try to assault you, you're going to try to protect that firearm at all costs. Because generally, not all the time, but there is typically an argument if you have a firearm, someone engages you in assault. At that moment in time, it could be considered a fight for your life, because if the person gets your firearm, it's a chance that they're going to use it. So let's rewind it back real quick. He reaches for his pocket, but this guy goes into a posture if he's trying to protect his firearm. It looks like, according to this video and how his body movement is, I'm assuming he has appendix carry. So he got his gun in the front because he looks like he's guarding on the front around his abdomen. But I don't know, this gentleman right here who's using the ATM, he doesn't know, and I'm giving him the benefit of the doubt. Is he trying to just go in my pocket to tap me down and see if I got the keys? Or is he trying to like actually grab my firearm or reach to see if I have a firearm? He legit doesn't know.
He believes the pair had stolen his car keys. He grabs the man on the right, demanding that he hand over the keys. The two start to struggle, and that's when you see a fourth man walk towards them. He's the man in the blue t-shirt.
The fourth guy coming up, I mean, so far, no punches have been thrown. That's actually amazing that the guy who got assaulted initially did not throw any punches, because if you grab me like that, a reaction is a reaction, you know what I mean? So shout out to him for not escalating the situation right here. Here, just objectively, the aggressors are clearly the two men who approached. The gentleman who's tapping people down and physically assaulting people, the guy who came up. If you come up and your man is assaulting people, I'm going to naturally assume you coming up to engage in an assault too. What other reason are you coming up? That's just me. I think that's a fair assumption.
Father, and he winds up being the victim in this case. Suddenly, the man on the left grabbed.
All right, so now they both engaging in assaults. The two guys at the ATM, they didn't do anything in this picture. They're trying to protect themselves, maybe guard from their firearm getting taken. Now you got a father and son who clearly are old enough to know better, engaging in some tomfoolery and some buffoonery right here. And it's going to lead to this gentleman in this circle being deleted.
His son's t-shirt, and the two of them start to struggle. His dad and the other man get into it, and then they walk off screen.
Now, right here, again, the person at the bottom of the screen, it still looks like he's in a defensive posture, just trying not to either get what's in his pockets taken, or if he is a person who has a firearm, but he's not going on any offensive. Up here, we can't see what's going on up here, but let's take a look at the position of their feet. The gentleman at the ATM, his feet is in the white. That's actually a terrible stance. He has no leverage because his feet is pretty much damn near touching each other. The gentleman on the back, so this posture right here, I can't see what's happening, but I'm assuming the gentleman in the front is probably standing and he's still trying to probably cover up that appendix area, because I'm assuming he's doing the appendix carry because he's given that posture of always defending that appendix area. The gentleman around him appears from his feet position to be potentially, you know how somebody have something and you're like, give it to me, give it to me. You got your arms wrapped around them as if you're trying to bear hug them and grab it out of their hands or something like that. This is what the foot posture is given, even though we can't really see it. Real quick, let's take a look at this comment. Entire situation highly escalated because the place ATM, 3 a.m., and because of the guns. I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree with you. It's interesting to see were the guns legit guns and that. But so far, the two guys at the ATM actually haven't done anything. They haven't even, in my opinion, done anything to escalate the situation at this point.
Both pairs of men are now struggling and fighting in front of the ATM.
Okay, now this is fucking weird to me. They're fighting. This guy still appears to be in some type of bear hug. His feet, he just butt to gut over here. His feet pointing this way. This guy's clearly behind him. Now, this guy who initiated it is clearly throwing hands. Now we got a woman coming into the scene. Women, y'all are supposed to be the voice of reason, not the voice of adding to the buffoonery that's going on. But now this guy's throwing punches. These two gentlemen at the ATM have no clue how far these guys are willing to escalate it. We can see his hand, so it's clear to see that maybe this guy does not have a firearm. So threat of severe bodily harm, he's throwing punches and I ain't throw shit. Possibly there to justify a physical altercation. Nothing there to justify a use of deadly force just yet.
You can't see her face, but at this point, a woman wearing a gray sweatshirt comes into frame.
Now, real quick, keep your eye. I literally just did this shit yesterday. Keep your eye on a woman wearing a gray sweatsuit. She comes up. She has an interesting posture because she comes up to the scene. Normally, when people come up to a scene like that, they aren't going to just have their hands in their pockets. If their hands in their pockets, it's there for a reason. Normally, when people come up to a scene, they either come in to join in the fisticuffs, or they're coming in and they're like, yo, y'all calm down. And this is a normal posture of people trying to calm shit down because they're probably yelling and all sorts of shit. So just objectively, as I'm viewing this, her having her hands in the pocket as she approaches is actually kind of odd. The people at top, completely off. Now, this guy who's just throwing fist hit, just throwing punches, this is fucking weird to me. So let's take a look at this real quick. I want y'all to see something. I thought this was odd. He's clearly throwing punches here.
In front of the ATM.
Looks like he or either this other guy dropped some shit.
You can't see her face.
They still bear hugging up here. Look at their feet. Now she's in, and you can't see her hands.
But at this point, a woman wearing a gray sweatshirt comes into frame. She's the victim's daughter, and the man in the blue t-shirt.
I don't know what the fuck is going on here. He threw punches at the guy. He assaulted both of these guys, and now he's picking up the phone and trying to hand it back. So clearly no threat. Now, the issue is going on off camera. We have no clue what's going on here. But here is clearly no threat. At this point, I would even say the threat is kind of gone. This guy went from throwing punches. He probably missed everything because he looked like he was just throwing some bullshit. But he actually taking a friendly posture. He's handing them his belongings.
Shirt's sister. A shot is fired and everyone.
Now, the shot is fired up here. We don't know who was responsible for firing the shot. I'm assuming from looking at this video, her firearm isn't out. This guy, the initial assaulter, has no firearm. We really can't see what's going on in this third guy, but he didn't throw a punch after getting assaulted, getting punched on, and now the guy handing his phone back. So I'd be shocked if the firearm came from the gentleman at the bottom of the screen. I think it clearly came up here, and we have no video footage to see what was going on.
Unscrambles. The woman in gray pulls.
Now take a look at the woman in gray. Where did she pull her firearm from? She pulled it from exactly where the fuck her hand was at, which was obvious. No one approaches. When your people is in a fight, you either go in and you're fighting with them, or you're going there trying to break it up. And when you're trying to break it up, this is the normal posture. Yo, y'all calm down because you're grabbing people. You normally want both hands to be able to manipulate the environment, the situation. Her having her hands in her was a huge red flag.
And everyone scrambles. The woman.
She pulls the gun out. So she sees the father shot. She pulls the gun out.
And Gray pulls out a gun and also fires a shot. In the chaos, the 54-year-old father was killed, but it's not clear which one of the shots is responsible for his death. And here's.
Now, this is just an absolutely insane story. I'm actually going to leave this up. I'm gonna small box it real quick. Let's small box it because I want to talk real quick about who has a great argument here. Now, just initially as I see this with just the facts we have before me, let's assume the shot came from the top of the screen, because I'm thinking that's where the shot came from, because she pulled out her firearm after the shot was already off. I don't think it was these two people at the bottom. I think the shot came from the top of the screen. Who doesn't have a self-defense argument, I think, is this woman right here. This woman right here, if I'm a prosecutor and I'm just looking at this, just off the facts, there may be more evidence out there that I don't know, but just off the fact that I have, she should be completely charged with possession of a firearm if it's hers, or unauthorized use of a firearm. She should get some type of charge, because to me, as I see this, she is with the people who created the dangerous situation. She is with the people who were the aggressors. I started this video out by saying that when you fire a firearm, you don't get the benefit of making a mistake. That guy, when we saw these two guys up there with their feet all intertwined, it was a weird ass footing position. But the guy who we assume took the shot, we're just making an assumption here. We don't know if this is the case, but the guy we assume who took the shot, he has a legit argument that he was actually trying to defend himself. I had a firearm on me. I was trying to turn my back. This guy was clearly behind him in some maybe bear hug, grabbing type of posture, because we could identify that from how their feet were. Let's see. Let's go back to how their feet were. That footing position, this guy's clearly behind this individual. I doubt if he's punching them like that. I think from what we saw initially, he's probably still trying to protect that abdomen area where I believe he's carrying his firearm, just based on his body posture. So this young woman over here who decides that she wants to pull out a firearm, you do not get the benefit of the doubt if the person who was in your party was the aggressor. So I think she's screwed, rightfully so, just based on this. Again, assault for the guy down here. This guy, he was probably the only guy who I probably wouldn't charge with anything. But Mr. I'm going to throw punches and then hand you your phone, he's definitely catching some charges. He's definitely an aggressor. They are outnumbered. I'm just going to say, I don't care if it is a woman. The woman got a damn blick on her. So they are outnumbered. I think that the gentleman up here, if we're making an assumption that he was the one who fired the fatal shot, we don't know. We're just making an assumption. I'm not saying he did it. We're just saying, let's say he was the one who fired the fatal shot. I think he actually has a much stronger self-defense argument. They're outnumbered. He's not the aggressor. He doesn't appear to be throwing punches. When he had opportunities to throw punches and use equal force to stop the assault, he didn't do so. He took a posture as if he was trying to defend or guard his firearm because he knew he had that firearm. I don't know what was going on up here, but the argument or the story that's being made is, hey, these guys approached us. They were talking about keys. We didn't know. People approach all the time. Hey, man, you got a cigarette I could borrow? And they'll rob your ass. He really legitimately doesn't know if this is a legit thing. They think they have the keys, or is this just a ploy or a distraction to try to catch us with our pants down to try to rob us? They're outnumbered. This lady approaches. This lady has her hand in her pockets. I look over. My man is getting swung on. I'm outnumbered. This guy is grabbing me. He's trying to go for my gun. I'm thinking he's trying to go for my gun. Why is he trying to go for my gun? To use it against me? It's either him or me. I think he has a valid self-defense argument here that actually makes sense. But this is actually a crazy ass story, in my opinion. Yeah, the girl was with, I don't know, because they didn't make it out. It appeared, and let's go back and see if they delineate. Because from the story, let's see. Because I'm assuming, and this is just me, I'm assuming the girl is with the people who approached. The only reason why I'm saying that is because, think about it. The gentleman in the yellow circle, let's call them the aggressors because they are the aggressors. That's a fact. I'm assuming she's with the aggressors because she didn't pull her firearm out until the shot was discharged and this gentleman in the yellow circle actually hit the pavement. So I'm thinking, I'm making an assumption here because I don't have all the facts. I'm thinking that she pulled out her firearm because the shot was discharged. If she was with this guy who didn't get shot, she wouldn't be pulling her firearm to dislodge a shot to shoot her man. You see what I'm saying? Like, if I came up here with these people, a shot go off and this guy dropped, why am I pulling the firearm out if this guy got shot to try to shoot at my man? It makes no sense unless he's just shooting at everybody, which is goofy. But let's run this story back one more time. But I'm thinking she's with the aggressors just from the body posture and what we heard them say. Let's run this story back one more time because it's crazy as hell.
The video begins with two men walking up to the Chase ATM off Logan Avenue South. It's still dark outside, just after 3 a.m. Saturday morning. The two start to deposit money when a man wearing a dark blue shirt walks up to them. According to Renton police, he believes the pair had stolen his car keys. He grabs the man on the right, demanding that he hand over the keys. The two start to struggle, and that's when you see a fourth man walk towards them. He's the man in the blue t-shirt's father, and he winds up being the victim in this case. Suddenly, the man on the left grabs his son's t-shirt, and the two of them start to struggle. His dad and the other man get into it, and then they walk off screen. Both pairs of men are now struggling and fighting in front of the ATM. You can't see her face, but at this point, a woman wearing a gray sweatshirt comes into frame. She's the victim's daughter, and
Exactly, the victim's daughter. Clearly, she shot because she saw her father down. That's just what it was. So she came up there with the aggressors. And this, the craziest part of all this is this man's idiocracy, stupidity, hothead ended up getting his father deleted. But for him approaching, but for him swinging, none of this shit probably would have happened. So this dude got his father deleted, and his sister probably will be going into custody along with him. His sister actually probably be going into custody for much longer. But yeah, she was with the aggressors.
Man in the blue t-shirt's sister. A shot is fired and everyone scrambles. The woman in gray pulls out a gun and also fires a shot. In the chaos, the 54-year-old father was killed, but it's not clear which one of the shots is responsible for his death.
Now, I don't know. I would like to know where the father was. If they aren't sure which shot was responsible for the father's death, it's going to be interesting, because it could have been father was shot and he hit the pavement and she pulled out a gun, but then I think we would be unequivocally know which shot was responsible for the death. So what likely happened was they were probably up there tussling. A shot went off while they were in close proximity in the tussle. Dad was still standing up. She pulls out, shoots the firearm while dad is still standing up. That's the only way I can see a scenario where we don't know who fired the fatal shot, because dad was shot. He was upright. They were standing. She saw her father get shot. She returns fire, and we don't know. Dad is on the pavement now, but we don't know who or what person was responsible for the fatal shot. But this story is actually fucking insane and actually crazy. This is actually crazy. So Ollie, the whole thing looked like a setup, a distraction to set up a perfect robbery. I don't disagree with you. Like, that used to be the thing back in the day. Hey, man, you got a jack? You be like, a jack is a cigarette. Like, nah, I don't smoke. And then next thing you know, somebody's trying to rob you. So I agree. I think that the gentleman at the ATM in very favorable positions, if he can articulate, hey, we were outnumbered, I have a firearm on me, and they were accosting us. He was punching on my friend over there. I thought he was trying to take my firearm. I see a third woman get out of the car who's clearly with him, and she's not trying to defuse the situation, but she has her hand in the pocket. I don't want to get I need to, right now is life or death. It's me or him. If I don't get my firearm out of this pocket, she might go and pull out, because she got something. And I mean, like, based on this, I think they got a great argument. I do think it's giving sketch. Like, I don't know, you got my keys, bruh. That sound like cap to me. It do sound like, hey, I agree with you 100%, Chloe. It's giving setup, and we trying to rob you in the robbery side of the game. Oh, she was wrong that if she was on the side of the robbers, she had no argument for protection. You can't create the situation and then want to argue I'm defending myself when you were the aggressor. That's just not how it works. Just a ridiculous, literally, real talk. This hothead, because of this situation, this dude lost his father, and his sister is going to go to prison. All because of this harebrained scheme. Like, I'm agreeing with you. Like, I don't think it was about keys. It's giving robbery to me. I've seen a lot of finesse. Actually, I've been the victim of a robbery or two, and if someone isn't doing it right, I will correct you mid-robbery. Like, bro, first of all, you too close with the gun. I got some stories, but I'm not going to tell them on this platform. Not right now, at least. Maybe members only video. But I think this is an actual crazy story. Like I said, the key takeaways here was self-defense. Was the person in reasonable fear of severe bodily harm or death? I think the answer is yes. If we're talking about the side of the persons who are using the ATM minding their business. Defense of property or defense of life, you can't use deadly force to defend your property, and it just doesn't happen. Oh, someone's stealing the TV and they're in my yard. Shoot them in the ass because they got the TV in the hand. Like, no, you can't defend property. Now, you can approach someone who's to defend your property, and then if a use of force, your fear of your life or severe bodily harm escalates from you approaching them over that theft of property or issue of property, defending your property, then there's a different ball game. But you can't use deadly force to defend property, and you can't create a situation as the aggressor and think that you're going to get the benefit of the doubt. That's just not how the justice system works. But I agree. I think it was a robbery. Hey, shout out to you all for using your investigative skills on this one. This was actually a crazy ass story. I may cut that one out and just do that story separately as its own video tomorrow. But yeah, crazy. I think, again, it was a robbery. I think everybody should go to jail. Everybody should get charges, with the exception of the two people who were at the ATM machine. In that video, I don't see anything wrong. Even if that guy fired the shot that ultimately deleted the guy in the blue shirt's father, I think he has a great self-defense argument. Like, I think his attorneys are in a great position. Nothing good here, but just imagine how awful it'll all turn out if it's the daughter's gun who shot the deadly bullet. Wow. I didn't even think about that. That'd be crazy. So real talk, like, your father isn't here because of stupid behavior by both of his children. That's crazy. The thing that take you out is the thing you brought into this. The person that take you out is the person you brought into the world is absolutely crazy. Like, honestly, like, if I were like mom, I don't know where mom is at, but if I'm watching this video and I'm mom, I'm like, your father isn't here because of y'all stupid ass behavior. Literally. But it's definitely giving robbery. 100%. Yo, that's it for this video. It's late as hell, and I definitely need to take this suit off. Yeah. There you go. All right, shit. There you go. It's 11:30 at night. There you go. Before we go out, I'm gonna go ahead, undo the tie, because I always get into business. Hey, this is my friend of me right here. I'll undo the tie. That's it for this video. Everybody get charged except the gentlemen who are at the ATM machine. I think they were in the right. I think they weren't the aggressors. I think that the gentleman who we perceive fired the shot was 100% in the clear on the self-defense side of the game. Yeah. You be having a conversation at the penalty. Yeah, because that's the only way they're going to have that conversation. Everybody else, one guy's dead. The other two are going to be in prison. And it's all because of stupidity or a terrible attempt at a robbery. Leave people the fuck alone. Leave people alone. So many things can be avoided if you leave people alone. You don't know who got that goddamn it on them. And if it's my life or your life, I'm going to use it. I got to be here. I got a better reason to live than you. I don't care what your situation is. I got to be here. So that's just kind of my approach. Y'all have a good one. Y'all be safe. Thanks for everybody for tuning in. I'll holler at y'all Friday. I think I'm going to have another attorney on Friday. I might. I got to see because I think they were on vacation. But we're going to tune in Friday. We're going to have some more topics. Y'all have a good one. Be blessed. Oh yeah, the Donna Ailson trial. I'm gonna have to go check out AA Legal Focus channel because that's going to be interesting. Facts, 100%. I haven't done the sound effect or video, but I'm gonna give you. Don't do stupid things at stupid times with stupid people at stupid places. Y'all be blessed. Peace.